everyone, welcome to Briar Haus Writes. I'm Becky Parker, and today it is my honor to be able to have with us our administrator for Briar Haus Writes, Miss Mary Martinez. Mary,
Hi,
welcome to our program.
thank you so much for having me. I've heard so many great things about you being a host, and I'm excited to have this opportunity to talk to you.
For many of you who don't know Mary, Mary is a former United States Marine, and she would tell me that once a Marine,
Always a Marine.
a Marine. She served in the United States military and she went back to school through the GI Bill. So we are so thankful for your service. And she obtained her bachelor's degree in education and has her master's degree in teaching English as second language development to children in an urban setting in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Mary, tell me how you have managed being able to concurrently go to school, be a full-time mom, as well as getting that master's and teaching, as well as writing your new book. How did you manage everything?
Well, time management is really important with that, managing, making sure that I have enough time with my kids and any opportunity that I had to work on my master's degree, I would do so. So during my lunch break at work, I was typing, and writing papers for my master's. I was able to finish my master's working with the students that I have now, which was a really wonderful opportunity. And I love this program. It's just English as a second language is very dear to my heart. And the school that I have, there's a very high population of English language learners, and it's where I feel like I fit in best. So it wasn't so much as work to me as more of a joyful opportunity.
Tell me about your love for reading and literacy. Have you always had a love for reading?
I've always had a love for reading ever since my mom taught me to read from a very young age. I've always loved to read. As a teenager, especially, I used to have a space in my closet, and I would put in some blankets and some pillows and create just like a quiet space for me to just fully immerse myself into whatever I was reading. If I ever got in trouble, I would put my books, my very special favorite books, I would put them inside my pillowcase to try to hide them. And I love to read now, especially. I think reading is such a blessing, and not everybody is literate. So it's just another thing dear to my heart. I have so many books in my house that I don't have enough book space. We just have stacks of books in each room, and it's just amazing to have so many things to read.
What are your favorite genres that you've enjoyed reading about?
My favorites are fantasy fiction, and I love dystopian books. Any books that kind of alter reality a little bit, make things more magical, more exciting. I love reading those. Fantasy fiction, I think, has always been my favorite to read. Anything with mermaids or dragons, just those magical elements to them are really exciting to me. And I love reading those as stories to my kids. They love those type of books as well. I do like historical fiction as well. Anything about ancient history. Nonfiction, I will read it. It's not my favorite, but I will read it. But I love learning about ancient civilizations, different cultures, those sorts of things.
One of the things that I find very fascinating about you is that you've written in a genre that I'm not familiar with, on a book called The Last Ember. And it's something called fan fiction. For us old fogies out here, um, can you explain what fan fiction is and the premise behind it?
Yes. So fan fiction is kind of what it sounds like. It's where you are, as a fan, you're writing based on an existing world. So in my case, I was writing my little story based on the Elder Scrolls universe, which is a video game. But often, sometimes people write about their favorite movies or their favorite TV shows, and they are writing based off something that is already there, something that's already existing. So you are a fan and you are writing your fiction based on um, those existing elements. So in my case, the Elder Scrolls games have always been my favorite. And I remember when I taught as a pre-K teacher, my very long commute, I would be trying to listen to audiobooks, things on the lore there, and I would be imagining in my own head how I could have my own character in that universe. And so I had thought about the fan fiction well before I even started typing it up and trying to write it. So it's a really interesting way to immerse yourself in your favorite stories. A lot of people like immersing themselves in like Harry Potter games and like the books. There's a new Harry Potter video game, and so where you make your own characters. So it kind of ties into that fan fiction. But anybody can make fan fiction. It's something that is not published usually because it is based on somebody else's work. But it's just something that the creators like to share with other people that enjoy that universe.
Do you find that when you are immersed in fan fiction that you can maybe communicate with other people who are writing about some of the characters that are in that fantasy type world? Or is it strictly an alone process?
It's kind of an alone process. You are able to make it however you see fit in your mind. Fan fiction has no limitations. You can make it, you can change the characters, you can do um, anything that you want to do. But that's where you don't publish it because it is changing the work of somebody else. But it's just for yourself usually. Like for my story that I wrote, it's for myself, and if anybody wanted to read it, they're welcome to. But it's not something that I would ever publish. It's something that it's just for fun. It's just something fun to write. Usually, it's just something that is more of a hobby than anything else. So some people like to play the video games or they like to watch the shows, and other people like to really put themselves into it. But it's more of a personal thing.
When you are writing that fan fiction book, um, tell me about your writing process.
You didn't really have a process. It was more of like a replacement activity for me. So instead of playing a video game, I would be typing. And AI has been a great help with organizing my thought process. So I've had all these ideas for so long, but I never quite knew how to put them into a book format. So AI was able to take my thoughts when it's kind of like brainstorming. When you type everything out in your brainstorm, you're not really worried about how it's organized at that point. It's just a draft. So AI was really helpful in that, being able to become like my editor. So I would just write it all up, and I would usually write about a couple pages a day. It's just something that I did as a coping method. Whenever I felt stressed, I would kind of put myself into that fantasy world and kind of escape for a minute, and it was fun. It's just fun.
Mary, I wanted to ask you about your education, and especially when it comes to being an educator with AI. Are there any technologies that you use that maybe are assisted by AI that you use to teach your children who are not English proficient at this point?
Yes, AI has been an incredible resource. During some of my professional developments with our ELD coaches, they have suggested AI tools to us, and that's kind of how it was introduced to me. So there is one AI program called Magic School. It is able to help you write lesson plans based on content standards, language standards, and it also provides different resources. ChatGPT is one of those AI platforms that also is really great for educators. With all AI, you want to fact check and make sure that that it's to your standard, making sure that it's accurate. But I've been able to write rubrics through ChatGPT. You try to be as descriptive as possible. It makes worksheets. It can make flashcards. It can also it can annotate different texts to make things more accessible for English language learners. So if I were to put in, say they're reading a chapter book, Holes, for example, I would be able to put in a small excerpt of that, or I could ask them, can you simplify this? And so it simplifies the language to make things more comprehensible for them. Because with English language learners, depending on their literacy level, their language level, we want to make things as close to their level as possible, providing that comprehensible input, making sure that things are just above their level to where they're still learning, but that they're also following with the storyline. We don't want to change things too much. We just want to bring it down to where their level is. And AI has been a great resource for that. You can make PowerPoints. You can make, I mean, the possibilities are endless. It's really an amazing tool.
While it is a tool in the writing world, AI writing is basically forbidden. So, tell us about the drawbacks of AI when it comes to that.
The drawbacks of AI would definitely be that it is soulless, as I've heard. Um, it's also something that you really need to check for accuracy, because it is computer generated. We want to make sure that it's as close to our expectations as possible. It doesn't replace writing, it doesn't replace learning, but it does make things more accessible, kind of like a crutch for someone who has a broken leg. It just provides a scaffold, that support that those learners may need, or even, I mean, like I said, the possibilities are endless. It's really an incredible tool, but it's not to replace a human.
Because humans have their own beautiful brains and can create amazing pieces of work. So when you are seeing a report written by a child, you are, how do you check to make sure that AI did not generate that report?
There are applications online to where you can put in, and it does check for AI. Um, and I know a lot of college professors use that nowadays because they don't want students to be writing anything, that's not their own work. So, that AI, it can be a great tool, but it's really something that you need to use sparingly, because we want to be able to write as creatively as possible. And it's not meant to replace. There are um, a couple AI things for writing, like Grammarly, that kind of goes in and it checks the spelling. But there are programs to check to see if it's written by AI, plagiarism checkers. I think Turnitin, I think is what it's called. It's also one of those applications that check. But yeah, we want to be able to support learners with their writing, and those tools are great, but they're just tools, you
They're
know.
just tools. Um, Tell me about why you are passionate for children to be able to have literacy.
Hmm. Well, literacy is one of those privileges I think that not a lot of children in our history have gotten to have. My grandmother had a third grade education, and I wonder how literacy was back then. Now it's just so accessible. Um, there are so many different accessible texts for children. And in this world, you really need to be able to read to have a job, have a career. Literacy is all around us, even going to the grocery store. That's why English as a second language, or even, for multilingual learners, it depending on where you are in the country, everything around you is in that language. So in our country, mostly everything's in English. So trying to go to the grocery store and making sure that you're getting the right kind of milk, or you're getting the right kind of shampoo. I mean, literacy is incredibly valuable. Um, and the more that we're exposed to the language, the better I think our world will be. When you have literacy, it's just a door to so many more opportunities.
How did you get roped into being the administrator for Briar House Right? And exactly for those who don't know, what is Briar House Rights anyway?
Well, Briar Haus has been founded by Becky Parker. Hello. Uh,
And full
and
disclosure, Mary is my daughter. So
yes, yes. So it's been kind of hard to separate that she is my mom. But she had asked me to be the administrator, and I fully support her and her vision of Briar Haus Writes. I think she's an incredible writer, author, hostess. She's multi-talented, but I really do believe in Briar Haus Writes. She's built this community of writers where anybody from around the world is able to come and share their love for writing and for literacy. It's great for anybody to come and have that safe space to share their vulnerable writing. It's a safe space. If you are usually shy about your writing like I am, um, you know it it's a good place to start, and it's a good place for all levels of writing. So whether you are a beginner or you're a veteran of writing, it's just a nice place to be able to come together, look at memes, funny writing things, and be around people from all across the world that are very talented.
tell me about if you could have one superpower in this tumultuous world that we are currently living in, what would it be?
I would love to be able to control the elements. So, like water and fire, because I could just lay in bed and I could just water bend some water into my cup and I wouldn't even have to get up. I could, if I'm cold outside in the wintertime, because Pennsylvania gets a lot of snow sometimes in the winter. This year we didn't get so much, but sometimes we get over a foot and it's freezing. So I could just conjure up a little flame in my hand, and my hands could be toasty warm. Um, I think that's what I would do. What about you? What would you choose?
I would like to be an earthbender because I would love to be able to build like foundations and build my own houses around, and that way everybody would have a house. I could build if there was a homeless person, I would shoot out and I would put them in their house of their dreams wherever they wanted to live, whether it was on the beach or if it was in the if they love the ocean or if they like being in a polar vortex, wherever they wanted, I would make it.
That's a very noble superpower. Mine
Plus,
is
I
more
just
for
no,
personal gain.
I love I just love houses so much, whether whatever kind they are. I think I in my previous life I was probably a real estate agent. I don't
I
know.
could see
For
that.
affordable houses, that would be. Um, so Mary, tell us about what your vision is for um, yourself as a burgeoning writer.
Writing for me has been more of a hobby. I don't see it as a career path or something that I would like to take so much further. But as an educator, I'm writing every single day. So, in a sense, especially with my lesson plans, I want to have more creativity. Mostly what I've written in the past are academic writing. I've written an annotated bibliography on parental involvement in education. I've written about the cultural influences of different cultures in the United States, the history of different cultures in our United States, such as like Chinese culture and Puerto Rican culture, different things. So I'm trying to go from that academic writing to more personable and more reader friendly. Not everybody wants to read an academic paper. Sometimes we just want to curl up with a good book and immerse ourselves into another world.
And one of the things that I find as we grow in our writing journey is that we also grow in our reading journey. Because when we are reading, we are learning all the different styles of writing and being able to immerse ourselves in other people's writing. Even if we don't ever become a professional writer ourselves, we can appreciate the hard work and just the creativity and time that goes into these beautiful works of art, whether it's poetry, whether it's a novel, whether it's fan fiction. We can appreciate just it opens up a whole new world to us.
Yes, it really does. It gives us so many new ideas that we may have never thought of before. Um, so much more learning about different types of genres. And there's so many different kinds of writing now. I know my son, George, he really loves to read. He likes to read those pigeon books, which I have one of these books, but the writing is a lot more simplified. So it's mainly more pictures and everything. It's really neat. Just how it's set up now. So it's not always, the pages are just full with words. It's more like a graphic novel. Another book that I've just recently discovered is A Universe of Rainbows. This is written by Matt Forrest Essenwein, but it's a collection of different poems, and it just has beautiful, beautiful illustrations. It's really interesting. Yeah. Another favorite author of my kids is Tommy Diopala. He writes like Stregonona books. He also writes The Little Grunt and Big Egg. And they're just so cute. They're so fun. He is one of my favorite authors. He writes really cute pictures, lots of different illustrations. It's just amazing how many different things are available now. And just learning how to read it's very interesting in our culture and in English, because how we read is from left to right. But say, in a lot of Asian languages, we're reading from right to left. So teaching English as a second language to multilingual learners can be tricky, just with the structure of writing. And so it's just fun to explore.
I know that you love to be able to look at a Kindle, um, but that your favorite type of reading are the actual books that you can open up and turn and share. But do you think that in 50 years we will be able to see more books like that where you can just have the paper where you open it up and you can see it, or do you think it will be more like holographic or more Kindle, more online?
It's hard to say. Technology has advanced so much just in the past 20 years. I mean, as a kid, I would never imagine that AI could be, a thing. So it's hard to say where we'll be in 50 years. My hope is that things will become more accessible to people. It'll become more accessible to people with disabilities and, multilingual learners, or, we can, my hope is that we could look at a book that's written in another language, and that maybe it'll be automatically translated to us. And maybe by that point, people who are colorblind, maybe it'll be to where it'll have a filter to where you can see the illustrations in a different light. I don't know. I personally love having that paper book. I love feeling the book. I love the smell of a new book. I love the old book smell. It's also easier on my eyes. It's just really nice. But there are a lot of benefits to ebooks. Your audiobooks are another great thing, being able to listen. Say if you're blind, you're still able to enjoy a good book. You're able to, enjoy lots of different things. So hopefully in 50 years, things will be more accessible. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a robot that talks to you. I don't know. It'll be
You
cool
never
though.
know. Sounds like a pretty exciting world either way.
Yeah,
Well,
there's a lot of text, talk to text features now, where you can just highlight the text and it reads it to you. So who knows?
who
Cool though.
knows? Well, Mary, I just want to say thank you so much for all that you do to contribute to Briar House Rights and making it a success, but also the fact that you contribute so much to children around the world who are getting a better appreciation for reading. So thank you so much. I wish you all the best in your future.
Same to you. Thank you very much.